link up, baby. You just hit my line for the wind down. There's only one thing on my mind when you come around me. I get lost in where you found me. Want you to use me. You let her confuse me. Don't wanna hide the fact that you make me feel away. Want you to give me play. I see it in your eyes, you're lonely. Come put that body on me. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. They can't do you like I will. Nobody do you like I will. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. They can't do you like I will. They can't do you like I will. Like I will. I treat you right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I treat you right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. They can't do you like I will. Like I will. Pick up the phone, little baby. You got me up and I'm wavy. You know I want you to myself. You know you've been driving me crazy. Looking me right in the eye and tell me it's mine. If not, I'ma make it that way. You know I want you in a major way. I bless that body, make you share your grace. I've been trying to get you face to face. Wanna fall through and give you ways to waste. I do what it takes. I make them walls sing on your heartstrings. Say your arms. I treat you right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make it feel. I treat you right, I will. I hit it right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make it feel. I hit it right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. I treat you right, I will.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right, so happy holidays to everybody. I hope that everybody's holiday is going well. Shout out to Alonda. Merry Christmas. Hopefully you guys are having a good holiday. Hopefully y'all eating some good food. And hopefully if y'all get Christmas presents, y'all got the Christmas presents that y'all wanted. So hopefully that is happening for y'all. All right. If you guys can hear me, please help me out. Give me a thumbs up in the comment section so that I know that the audio is going through. If you guys cannot hear me or it sounds bad, give me a thumbs down or an angry face and I will work on trying to fix it. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. What's good with it? All right. So we're going to get into it because this stream is probably not going to be real long. All right. First thing that we got to talk about is this man that got shot outside Gage Park Migrant Shelter. How many people heard about this? Right before the holidays, what'd you get? Some bullets. A man was shot outside a migrant facility in Gage Park on Saturday afternoon. The city runs this migrant shelter. The incident occurred in the 2400 block of West 55th Street at approximately 12:44 p.m., police said. The 28-year-old male victim was on the sidewalk when an unknown vehicle pulled up. The unknown individual inside the vehicle pulled out a firearm and fired shots at the victim, striking him in the head. All right, so your boy Ray Lopez posted this on Twitter. Roughly an hour ago, there was a shooting in front of the Gage Park migrant facility. I am waiting for additional information from the Chicago police and will update accordingly. Male shot in the head. This was on 2430 West 55th Street. All right. The victim is a John Doe. He's a male Hispanic and appears to be in his 20s. All right. The victim was transported to Mount Sinai Hospital and is in critical condition, according to the police. Authorities are currently investigating the incident. The victim's name has not yet been released by police. All right, so we don't know if this individual that got shot was an undocumented bro. Probably was, because he was standing outside the shelter. And we don't know if the people that shot him were undocumented bros. Kinda crazy. All right. So next, what we got is a situation going on in a city called Aurora, Illinois. And in Aurora, Illinois, what's going on is that they are pushing back at the ordinance involving migrant bus arrivals. So I'm sure they're not very happy with the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, and I'm sure they're also not very happy with Greg Abbott, because this is a community that is not Chicago, that doesn't want to be involved with taking in these migrants, and it seems like they're getting migrants forced on them. Okay. So now what they say here is that this is not civil. Aurora residents push back at ordinance involving migrant bus arrivals. And you guys can see what that community looks like right there. A new ordinance in Aurora attempts to hold accountable those involved in sending migrants by bus. A special city council meeting held on the 5th floor of City Hall in Aurora ended in a 9-1 vote in favor of adopting an ordinance effective immediately that requires transportation companies to notify the city at least 5 days prior to arrival and then receive approval first before individuals are allowed to disembark in Aurora. Now, here's my question. How do y'all think that that's going to go over? Do you all think that that's going to go over very well? I don't think that that's going to go over very well. As a matter of fact, I think that the people who are sending the migrants, the government of Texas, I don't think that they're going to abide by that at all. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. If you guys haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. If you haven't hit the bell or subscribe to the channel, make sure that you guys do that, and please share the stream to your social media. Aurora Mayor, oh, you know what? Actually, hold on. That approval will only be granted upon presentation to the city of a detailed plan that identifies how the individuals will be cared for, housed, fed temporarily or permanently. Unscheduled and thereby unpermitted drop-offs will be subject to a fine, with buses subject to forfeiture. So what they're doing is they're taking the Brandon Johnson approach. And if you guys agree with Kip Doctor, shout out to Kip Doctor. Kip Doctor says they'll just drop them off in the black suburbs. Give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, the black suburbs, if you ask me, they shouldn't really just be sitting back watching this. What they should be doing is, if they see that these things are working to deter the migrants from coming into their areas and they don't want migrants in their areas, then they need to be doing the same things. They need to start working on some ordinances as well. Okay. Aurora Mayor Richard Irvin said after the vote that the ordinance is not meant to punish migrants, but to protect them and hold accountable those putting them in unsafe conditions, referring to those who are irresponsibly and inhumanely dropping off migrants here without provisions and care that they need to be treated with the basic dignity that human beings should be treated with. The ordinance passed despite a full 30 minutes of opposition during public comment. What's the matter with you? This is not civil what you're trying to do, one man addressed to the council members. Another resident also spoke in support of migrants. I hope when they look back at this time of trauma in their lives, Aurora is a receptive in the chaos, and our city is remembered for its compassion and the beauty of its people, she said. Nathan, a community organizer, also expressed his disagreement with the ordinance. It's quite a shame that we're trying to pass an ordinance to restrict the amount of migrant buses coming into our city and inherently restricting the amount of migrants we can take into the city, he said. So what's interesting about it is that there was some pushback. These people here in this community sound like they want to take the migrants, which is interesting because you see where the migrants are not very welcome at. But in this community here, it seems like there's a lot of push for wanting to take them. Yet and still, they're dumping them off where they're dumping them. which is interesting. Okay, shout out to Volvo. What's good with it, Volvo? Merry Christmas. So now next, what we got is more proof that the migrants at the border, the numbers of them just continue to surge, and that none of these methods that are being used to try to slow any of this down are working. None of these methods are effective at all. Huge numbers of migrants continue to cross into the United States. Representative Mooney says, you don't have a sane system with an insecure border like this. And I got to agree. And honestly, at this point, can we even call this a border? That's my question to you guys. What we have at Texas that separates the United States and Mexico, can that logically and legitimately even be called a border? If it can, give me a thumbs up. If it cannot, then give me a thumbs down. I don't think that it can. So now here it says 2024 is almost here, and the illegal immigration issue is looking to be a major focus for lawmakers in the new year. Thousands of migrants continue to make their way across the U.S.-Mexico border each day. Wait until you guys see what everybody is preparing for. Shout out to Lloyd Sky 9. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Special delivery just in time for the holidays. Now, if you guys haven't been able to pick up on this, the titles of my live streams and the titles of my videos, they may be funny, they may be comical, but they always have a purpose. And there's definitely a purpose for this one. Okay. Thousands of migrants continue to make their way across the U.S.-Mexico border each day. According to CBS News, the U.S. Border Patrol says on Wednesday, December 21st alone, they apprehended 10,000 migrants that crossed into the country illegally. We spoke to West Virginia Republican Congressman Alex Mooney this week, who says since President Biden took office, more than 4 million illegal immigrants have passed into the country that we know of. For reference, the population of West Virginia is just under 1.8 million. So enough migrants have come into the United States to fill an entire state. And the numbers of them is not slowing down. Mooney says the situation is becoming a major focus in Congress, and even Democrats are getting frustrated. First, we have to secure the border before we talk about anything else, to be perfectly honest, because you don't have a sane system with an insecure border like this. It's frankly not good for the immigrants either, because their lives are in danger coming across with coyotes and drug dealers. One of the things I hear from most West Virginia voters as I travel is, what are we going to do to secure that border? They know that it's out of control. It's no way to have an immigration policy. A spokesman for the White House tells CBS News that President Biden says that the immigration system is broken and needs major policy changes. The president hopes to find a bipartisan solution to the issue in Congress. Now, I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that what's going to happen is that they're going to sit on this and they're going to sit on this. Nothing's going to get done. And then what they're going to end up doing ultimately is using this to try to pander to voters in 2024. You know what I'm saying? So let's check this out and see what they're talking about here.
42 past the hour now to the humanitarian crisis on the southern border. We have disturbing new video this morning that highlights the dangers people face when making the journey to the United States. I want to warn you, this is very difficult to watch. It shows 3 men trapped in a muddy section of the Rio Grande. There you see it right behind that tree there. They're two brothers and then another young man. They're trying to get clear of an area with thick vegetation. But when one of the men tries to hold on to the others, apparently he couldn't swim, he ends up pulling them all under the water. That man and one of the other brothers died.
And honestly, this is one of the things I've said this before. That's one of the reasons why you always got to be careful dealing with people who are drowning, because if you try to help people that are drowning, they'll make you drown too.
42 past the hour now to the humanitarian crisis on the southern border. We have disturbing new video this morning that highlights the dangers people face when making the journey to the United States. I want to warn you, this is very difficult to watch. It shows 3 men trapped in a muddy section of the Rio Grande. There you see it right behind that tree there. They're two brothers and then another young man. They're trying to get clear of an area with thick vegetation. But when one of the men tries to hold on to the others, apparently he couldn't swim, he ends up pulling them all under the water. That man and one of the other brothers died. That heartbreaking scene comes as number of people continue to arrive at the southern border, reaching daily records every single day.
So you hear that? They're reaching daily records every single day. And shout out to Kip Doctor. Kip Doctor says this wouldn't happen if they didn't break the law. And that's facts. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 30 people watching and we got 18 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 30 likes, that'd be great.
Week. There's news today that the White House is sending the Secretaries of State and Homeland Security to Mexico in the next couple of days to discuss the challenges at the border. NBC Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us now. Also with us, NBC's Julie Sirkin on Capitol Hill. And Julia, this video that we showed just parts of moments ago, two young people die. People who had made this incredibly difficult journey, maybe even months in the making, finally getting to the border and losing their life right there. These are young people with hopes, with dreams, aspirations. Everything is so difficult for them. And, you know, we talk numbers and statistics, but it all boils down to people. And this is the worst part of all of this. I don't know if there is a worst part, but it's that
he's laying it on thick, isn't he? Shout out to Hurricane IQ and shout out to Jay. This guy is laying it on pretty thick.
This is not a one-off.
Yeah, and for the people who you see on that video, think about all the people who didn't even make it to that point. People who died going through the Darien Gap between Colombia and Panama. Think about the people who were kidnapped, raped, extorted by gangs and cartels in Mexico. The stories that we hear, Jose, you've been down there, I've been down there. There's really no way to tell this story without talking to those people and getting their input. And when you think about all the policies that the U.S. can do to try to make things harder at the border, to use a stick approach rather than a carrot, it's hard to imagine there's anything that U.S. policy would allow that would actually be harder than what these people have already gone through. And I think it's that desperation, and especially as we see increasing political turmoil around the world, the effects of climate change. There are people in Guatemala who can't live off the land their families lived off of for generations. As those people turn to more increasing desperation, these numbers are going to get higher. But look at the desperation there as well. Look at the desperation as these people are now sent to U.S. cities like Chicago,
Facts.
L.A., Denver.
Shout out to my man Grover. Grover says, look, people drown in the Rio Grande crossing every day, B. But where was this love for the Haitians? Facts. Super facts. If y'all agree with Grover, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Big facts. Shout out to Tony, too.
Denver, New York, and they don't know where to go from there. It's a really tough situation and one where we don't see an end in sight right now.
Yeah, and few times do people move the focus over to the root cause of this and what's been going on in Cuba for 63 plus years, in Nicaragua and Venezuela. More than 7 million people have left that country since the beginning of the Chavez Maduro dictatorship. And, you know, Haiti. And it's just, Julie, meanwhile, House Speaker Mike Johnson is now asking the White House to take executive action to address this crisis. What specific the things is he asking for?
Well, Speaker Johnson acknowledged that bipartisan talks are still happening in the Senate. You'll notice this building behind me is empty, but certainly negotiators are still meeting virtually, I'm told, including today, to try and see if they can come to some kind of deal that would be palatable not only for Democrats, but also for Republicans. But Speaker Johnson...
Now, here goes my question for you guys. What does a deal that would work bipartisanly look like? Because the Democrats, for the most part, are only concerned with getting the funding for their wars. And the Republicans act like they want to secure the border, which we know that they actually don't. And shout out to Vega. And I agree with Kip Doctor. If you guys agree with Kip Doctor, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. No one is persecuting anyone in Cuba, Nicaragua, or Venezuela. They're coming for economic reasons. Facts. And we all know about coming to the United States for economic reasons. Coming to the United States for economic reasons, does that create a viable asylum situation? Let me know.
Here, perhaps laying out the marker for what his conference would be comfortable with. And I have to tell you, Jose, a lot of these policies, a lot of these proposals that he wants the president to take executive action on are policies that were in place under the former administration, under President Trump. They are policies like ending catch and release, like reinstating the Remain in Mexico policy, essentially having migrants stay in Mexico as they are awaiting their hearings to be processed here in the U.S. He wants the construction of the border wall to be resumed, essentially stopping access along the U.S. Southern Mexico border. You see some of those on your screen.
Why does catch and release even exist? Immediate executive action should include end catch and release, limit parole granting, pursue third country agreements, reinstitute Remain in Mexico policy, limit employment authorization documents, expand expedited removal, resume border wall construction. All of those, if you ask me, sound good. But my question is, why did catch and release, why did that exist to begin with? If you ask me, though, policies like catch and release are one of the reasons why these people are flooding the border, because as soon as they get caught, then they get released back into the country.
Needless to say that most of these policies are ones in which the president would not put back into place using executive action. They're ones that Hispanic lawmakers, that progressives, that immigrant advocates find cruel, unimaginably cruel and untenable. But nonetheless, Johnson here laying out what his conference would be able to accept as these negotiations, are continuing in the Senate. And it's not clear that he will accept or put something on the floor that doesn't rise to that level or go as far to the right as things he's laying out here.
All right. So there's that. Okay. So now next in Texas, what we have going on is that there's a community that has flipped a school. I believe that this is a middle school. They flipped it into a migrant shelter because of being overwhelmed by all of the migrants coming in at the border. City preparing Moorhead Middle School to possibly house migrants. All right, so this is the middle school right here. You guys remember those basketball hoops with the white backboards from back in the day on the side of the gym? The city of El Paso announced that it is preparing what it is calling the Community Readiness Center, formerly Moorhead Middle School, to possibly house migrants during the holiday season. The city of El Paso and Office of Emergency Management are preparing the Community Readiness Center to assist local non-governmental organizations and humanitarian organizations during the holiday period, a news release stated. The center, located at 5265 Confetti Drive in West El Paso, has a flexible capacity and varies depending on the needs of the community. The city has not had any street releases to date and has been utilizing hotels over the last few weeks to support area NGOs according to the news release. While the migrant crisis continues to unfold, let us remember that our humanity is tested in how we care for the vulnerable, said El Paso Mayor Oscar Lesser. During this holiday season and throughout the year, it is important to show empathy, understanding, and support for each other. In the spirit of compassion and unity, let our festivities be a beacon of hope, inspiring us to extend a helping hand to the vulnerable, fostering a world where every heart finds warmth and every soul feels embraced. If that's not the biggest crock of crap that I've ever heard, I don't know what is. Shout out to Sabrina. What's good with it over on X? And shout out to David Brown. What's good with it? Happy holidays, B1. If this ain't the biggest crock of crap that I've ever heard, I don't know what is. So let's check out this video from WION, because again, this is backing up that point that we've been talking about how at the border they're on their breaking point.
The wait is getting longer for migrants in Texas seeking entry into the United States of America. Now, the U.S. authorities have shut down several brigades, in fact, bridges and ports, along with its border with Mexico. Authorities in Texas said the closures were triggered by an influx of migrants triggered by transportation networks advertising travel to the southern U.S. border. Now, these networks allegedly connect the migrants to smugglers who facilitate illegal crossings of 500 to 1,000 people at a time. The migrant influx comes against the backdrop of a new Republican-backed law passed by the state of Texas. It is passed by the state governor, Greg Abbott, and it empowers authorities to prosecute and deport illegal migrants. The law, known as SB 4, makes it a state crime to illegally enter or re-enter Texas from a foreign country.
And now we'll be going into more details talking about SB 4 a little bit more on Undocumented. So if you're not subscribed to the channel called Undocumented, make sure you guys take a moment and subscribe to that channel. And also make sure that you watch this live stream all the way through to the end. It'll take you to the next scheduled stream.
Meanwhile, major U.S. agricultural groups have called for opening of 2 rail crossings to restore trade routes. Shippers and railroad industry groups have warned that the closure is disrupting trade between the two countries. The White House said it is working with the Mexican government to resolve the closure issue. Border security is expected to be a major issue in the 2024 presidential campaign. Republicans are calling for tighter immigration policies. They are seeking concessions from President Joe Biden in exchange for approving war funding for Ukraine and Israel.
Now, this is if you ask me, like, I'm sorry, this is just absolutely crazy. If you guys agree that this is just absolutely crazy, give me a thumbs up. If you disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Fantizzy. What's good with it, bro? So now here it says, additionally, the roving teams will continue traveling to areas where migrants are congregating to provide transportation services and or identify temporary shelter services, city officials said. On December 5th, the city council voted unanimously to approve an emergency ordinance that extends the disaster declaration issued by Leaser on December 17th of 2022. The ordinance will remain in effect until January 5th of 2024. The city council will need to vote to extend the emergency ordinance again in early January of 2024. The local disaster declaration allows the community to formally implement provisions of emergency plans, provide added liability protection to government agencies and special or volunteer emergency workers, formally request general assistance from the state and federal governments, advocate local emergency management plans, and if necessary, implement economic stabilization measures such as price, wage, and rent controls. All right. So now I don't know what that means. I've never seen anything like that activated, and I don't know of any examples, but I am actually interested to see what all that entails. Shout out to Jet Black and shout out to PD That Remains. What's good with y'all? So now, you guys ready? This is it. This is it. What? Migrants falling from the sky. They about to get rich. What? How many people heard about this giant caravan that has formed in Mexico? If you guys heard about it, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear about it, then give me a thumbs down. That right there is what we're going to be bringing in the holiday season and the new year with. You know what I'm saying? This is what we about to be bringing the holiday season and the new year in with. And it just got bigger, like a damn human centipede. Look at this. Thousands join migrant caravan in Mexico ahead of Secretary of State Blinken's visit to the capital. As you guys can see, this article was published a day ago. This is what that line is looking like. That's the craziest food stamp line I've ever seen, because that's exactly what that is a food stamp line. Them food stamps falling from the sky, they gonna get rich. What? Oh, man. A sprawling caravan of migrants from Central America, Venezuela, Cuba, and other countries trekked through Mexico on Sunday, heading towards the U.S. border. The procession came just days before Secretary of State Anthony Blinken arrives in Mexico City to hammer out new agreements to control the surge of migrants seeking entry into the United States. Don't you guys find it weird that the United States is having all of these issues, but Mexico is not? Like, Mexico is not complaining about this situation at all, and these people got to go through Mexico to get to the United States. So this isn't causing Mexico any issues? Think about that. Think about that. Does that make any sense? So now here it says the caravan is estimated at around 6,000 people. And according to them, many of them families with young children. It is the largest in more than a year, and a clear indication that joint efforts by the Biden administration and President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador's government to deter migration are falling short. The Christmas Eve caravan departed from the city of Tapachula near the country's southern border with Guatemala. Security forces looked in on what appeared to be a repeat of past tactics when authorities waited for the marchers to tire out and then offered them a form of temporary legal status that is used by many to continue their journey northward. Like, look at this. What is this? Shout out to Jesse. What's good with it, bro? Look at all of these people. So now here it says, we've been waiting here for 3 or 4 months without answers, said Kristen Riviera, traveling alone, having left his wife and child in his native Honduras. So then you're not coming with a family, first of all. Hopefully, with this march, there will be change and we can get permission to head north. Well, how's your family going to get here? Lopez Obrador in May agreed to take migrants from countries such as Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba, turned away by the U.S. for not allowing rules that provided new legal pathways to asylum and other forms of migration. But that deal, aimed at curbing a post-pandemic jump in migration, appears to be insufficient as the number of migrants once again surges, disrupting bilateral trade and stoking anti-migrant sentiment among conservative voters in the United States. I would say that there's more people than just conservatives that have issues with all of this. This month, as many as 10,000 migrants were arrested per day at the U.S. Southwest border. Meanwhile, U.S. Customs and Border Protection had to suspend cross-border rail traffic in Texas cities of Eagles Pass and El Paso as migrants were riding atop freight trains. All right. So now here it says, this is a Fox Business clip. Biden administration's border policies are hurting and putting America at risk. So let's see what they say. Now, do you guys agree with that? If you guys agree with that the Biden administration border policies are putting America at risk and hurting America, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 50 people watching and we got 40 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 70, that'd be great.
Crack down on the border crisis. He writes this: all of this is a direct result of your administration's policies. You have clearly undermined America's sovereignty and security. Customs and Border Protection sources, meanwhile, telling Fox News migrant encounters at the southern border are already above 200,000 for the month of December, and we've got more than a week left in the month. The White House says it will send Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas to Mexico in the coming days to meet with Mexican President Obrador. Joining me right now is Florida Congressman, House Homeland Security Committee member, and House Select Committee on China member, Carlos Jimenez. Congressman, thanks very much for being here this morning. We so appreciate your time. What do you think the administration officials can do to change any of this with that meeting in Mexico?
They don't need to go to Mexico. All they need to do is change their policies. Nothing changed from the only thing that changed from December 19th, 2021 to December 21st, 2021 was Joe Biden replaced Donald Trump as the president of the United States, and Donald Trump's policies on the border were working. We had, record low crossings, and then 2 days later, Joe Biden undoes all of these executive orders of President Trump, and then we start the surge and this unprecedented immigration crisis that we're seeing in the United States. It's all due to Joe Biden and his failed policies.
So are we anywhere closer to any change? I mean, KJP keeps blaming you and your colleagues. Well, you left town. If you were really interested in doing anything, then why aren't you in town? She said yesterday. We know that the $110 billion package for Ukraine and Israel is basically wrapped around these talks. Has there been any movement?
Why is it that the sovereignty and the protection of the border here in the United States is dependent on what gets done for other countries? Does that make sense to you all? That's the kind of backwards government that we have. That's the kind of pseudo society that we live in.
I'm not sure. I think I've heard that some senators are talking, and that there may be some movement. Even some Democrat senators, governors, mayors are now demanding some action at the southern border because it's really affecting their states and their cities in a very negative way, and it could be affecting their future election results. And so, what do I expect from Mayorkas and Blinken going down to Mexico? Nothing, because they have proven to be totally incompetent in both of their jobs. And so, we got a couple of incompetent individuals going down to see the president of Mexico, hoping that he's going to help us, when in fact it's all in the president's hands. Just change the policy. Customs and Border Protection have told you from day one what you needed to do. You have chosen to ignore them. And I've said for a long time, this is on purpose. This is not because they're incompetent. They want this to happen. You can't be this dumb. We know what we need to do.
Would you guys agree with what this dude is saying? If you guys agree with what he's saying, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. I've heard a lot of people say that they believe that this is being done on purpose. That's what this individual says. Now, one thing that I do disagree with is he says that you can't possibly be this dumb. I disagree. I think that we haven't even seen the levels of how dumb people can be. I think that people can be extremely dumb. So there's that.
They just refuse to do it.
Why? Why do you think they want an open border?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I haven't figured that one out yet. Okay.
Right.
But they do, obviously, because they changed the policies from day one, and it wasn't working. Obviously, we've had this flood of millions of immigrants have come through, and yet, no, we're going to continue to do what we're going to do. Oh, and by the way, we need more money. You know what? But the money is not to control the border. The money is so that they can process more migrants faster. All right, which means that they want to keep this border open.
And see, that's what he's saying. That's what I've been saying. You got to be careful with what it is that they're asking for. When a lot of these people that are asking for more money, they're not asking for more money to fix the problem. They're asking for more money to process migrant border crossings faster, which is completely different. Shout out to Carlton Wade. What's good with it, bro?
For some purpose. What that purpose is, Maria, I don't have the answer, but believe me, it's on purpose. This is done on purpose. You cannot be this dumb.
Karine Jean-Pierre did say she needs more funding. That's what she said, more funding, as if it's funding and not policy changes. A Colombian woman who illegally crossed the border and was released into the United States, was given a check-in with ICE with a New York City court date for 2031. Okay, so she gets processed. She gets a court date for 2031. Fox Business's Hillary Vaughn grilled the administration on this yesterday. What are they doing in the country all these years? Watch this.
Some illegal border crossers are being given court dates in 2031. What are they supposed to do here for 7 years?
Again, that's a better question put to the DHS. I'm not in a position to talk about specific cases like that. But
someone's lived here for 7 years and presumably gotten a work permit and worked here. If their asylum claim is denied, are they really going to be deported, or is that just a problem for the next president?
Again, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals about specific cases. He does believe we need, and he has worked to increase legal pathways to citizenship.
How do you just get to not answer a question like that? Yeah, facts. This is insane. This is how extreme this nonsense is.
But obviously, illegal pathways, you need to be held accountable if you're trying to come into the country illegally.
He's not going to take that on. But Congressman, do you have any idea what they do in that 8-year period? If they're not giving court dates until 2031 and they're told, OK, you're in America, we'll see you in 8 years.
Yeah, they're given the permission to work because they do have some kind of a legal status because they're waiting for their asylum hearing. By the way, 8 years is a short time because I know that there's people that actually got more like 10 years. And so, yeah, this is all part of the plan to flood America with illegal immigration and immigrants. And this is done on purpose. Look, the law says that if you're seeking asylum, two things are supposed to happen to you. One, you stay in a third country until your court date, or if you're in the United States, you're detained. None of that is happening. That's why you have this flood of migrants, because they know that their chances of getting into the United States, finding work in the United States, and ultimately staying in the United States increased dramatically under the Biden administration.
And we said that literally anytime Joe Biden opens his mouth, and provides an invitation for these people to come here. So why anybody is surprised about this is beyond me. It's beyond me.
And this is just part of the plan, their plan. And so again, what they wanted was additional funding. The funding was just to process more people. It wasn't to stem the flow of migrants. That's never been Joe Biden's plan. And again, the reasons why, I don't know. It's hurting America. It's putting America at risk. And but they continue to do, what they want to do. And unfortunately, in Congress, we really can't force them to change the executive orders like they had under Trump that really stopped this flow and kept America safe.
Congressman, I'm going to bring in Doug Collins in a moment. He wants to ask you about the agenda, but let me first ask you about China, because we've got the Taiwan presidential election in a couple of weeks. January 13th is when Taiwan will have its election. And we've got newly classified intelligence reports that show China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba all stepped up attempts to meddle, interfere in the 2022 midterm elections. I want to ask you about our elections as well in 2024, because former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe told me that China has been meddling in our elections, and they'll do it again next year. Watch this.
Our intelligence on this is clear. All of our adversaries, China, Russia, and Iran, will have a preference in 2024 for the presidential outcome, and that is for Joe Biden to continue to be the president.
Do you guys agree with that? That those adversarial countries have a preference of Joe Biden to remain the president? If you guys think that they do have a preference for that, then give me a thumbs up. If y'all think that they don't, give me a thumbs down. That's hilarious.
Joe Biden has been good for business for China, Russia, and Iran. All have gotten stronger around the world. I dissented from the intelligence community's majority and said how China was trying to influence the outcome of the 2020 election, and that has been corroborated. In fact, the FBI has walked back intelligence and has said, no, China did try and interfere, continues to try and interfere in elections, and that's going to continue to be the case because as we talk about these platforms, Maria, there is no more influential platform to affect American voters and perceptions than TikTok. And TikTok is controlled by the Chinese Communist Party.
Congressman, is that what you're expecting? I know you said U.S. intelligence also confirmed Cuba tried to interfere in Florida's election. Yeah. You were targeted. Yourself were targeted along with your South Florida colleagues. Tell us more about all of this.
Well, apparently it didn't work because both Mario Diaz-Balart won by about 40 points. I won by about 28 points, and Maria Salazar won by about 14 points. And so those are historic victories for us. And so what Cuba was trying to do here, we're not friends of Cuba. And so I wear that as a badge of honor that Cuba tried to interfere in my election and tried to knock me off. That just shows me that I'm on the right path. And so are my colleagues, Maria and Mario. And so, look, this is no secret. What gives you a better indication is whatever the Democrats are blaming the Republicans of doing, that's exactly what they're doing. And so the Russians, the Iranians, the North Koreans, the Cubans, the Venezuelans, they will try to influence the American election.
Now, what's interesting is a lot of these places that they're saying are influencing the elections. A lot of those are places where the migrants are coming from. A lot of those are the places where the migrants are coming from. Right in this second paragraph down here, arrests for illegal crossings top 2 million in each of the U.S. government's last 2 fiscal years, reflecting technological changes that have made it easier for migrants to leave home to escape poverty, natural disasters, political repression, and organized crime. On Friday, Lopez Obrador said he was willing to work again with the U.S. to address concerns about migration, but he also urged the Biden administration to ease sanctions on leftist governments in Cuba and Venezuela, where about 20% of the 617,865 migrants encountered nationwide in October and November hail from, and send more aid to developing countries in Latin America and beyond. So all of this is about us giving out more money. Look at that line. Look at that line of all those people. So again, now they got the black people right in the front. That is what we're going to discuss. It's not just contention, Lopez Obrador said at a press briefing Friday following a phone conversation the day before with President Joe Biden to pave the way for a high-level U.S. delegation. The U.S. delegation, which will meet the Mexican president on Wednesday, will also include Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas and White House Homeland Secretary Advisor Liz Sherwood Randall. Mexico's ability to assist the U.S. may be limited, however. In December, the government halted a program to repatriate and transfer migrants inside Mexico due to lack of funds. So far this year, Mexico has detected more than 680,000 migrants living illegally in the country, while the number of foreigners seeking asylum in the country has reached a record 137,000. Sunday's caravan was the largest since June of 2022, when a similarly sized group departed as Biden hosted leaders in Los Angeles for the Summit of the Americas. Another march departed in Mexico in October, coinciding with a summit organized by Lopez Obrador to discuss the migration crisis with regional leaders. A month later, 3,000 migrants blocked for more than 30 hours the main border crossing with Guatemala. So there is a migrant caravan that's on its way. Now, what's interesting about this is that these migrant caravans seem to plan their trips when the United States is talking policy with Mexico or with other countries. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, don't move a muscle. Make sure you guys hang tight. It'll take you right into the next stream. I appreciate each and every one of you all for being here. I hope everybody is enjoying their holiday. I hope you have a great rest of your holiday. Smash that like button. Make sure you hit the bell. Make sure you got all the notifications set. Follow me on my other social media. If you're not part of the Discord, make sure you guys hit that Discord. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,
walk up in the life. Yeah, I'm really talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up, look, walking this bitch like, hey, yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey, I'm really him. Don't believe me? Come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all on tour, got scheming. Say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though, please step aside so they can see me. And I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. I'm the realest from my city. That's on my knee, that's on Kiwi, that's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me, come and see me. I been dodging all that fake. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Flexing for what feature, that's like every other week. Talk behind my back, I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this light. Hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey.